Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Yeah, welcome on to another edition of In the Newsroom from the stable of news and current affairs of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Ile-Awiye Oke-Ibale, the television arm of the corporation. We welcome you back. Then, as Africa in general is regarded as an organized society with very, very pragmatic governance before the advent of the colonial masters and the missionaries, then we can see that the black were trained in the act of literacy by the missionary, particularly in Nigeria, and we had the traditional rulers happen to be the mouthpiece of the colonial masters who were used. And after that one, we have some people trained, and they were helping the colonial masters, and they were shortening between the colonial masters and the Obas, Emir, and the other side. Yoruba is described as a very democratic society whereby we are operating a monarchical system of government with something very, very close to democracy, because we have the rulers from the grassroots. We call it Bale. Then from there we have Magaji up to the monarch, who happens to be the apex. And in Yoruba setting, we have some checks and balances to any excess of the ruler. That is why Yoruba cannot be compared with anybody. And I must tell you that on Wednesday, Yoruba in general recorded another great loss of a first-class monarch in Osun State and Nigeria in general. We are mourning the late Dr. Gabriel Adeleke Aromolana, the second Owa Obokun Ademola Ijesha. And it's a very, very serious case. The late monarch became the monarch on February 20, 1982, and he died at the age of 86. He spent 42 years on the throne. That is what we have for you today. Who is Ademola? Then who is Ijesaland, and who is what is Yoruba? Let me start from the history. I have the chairman and we have the chairman, the two chairmen on the ground today of Nigeria Union of Journalists, OSBC Chapel. We have Babatunde Fanawoko. How are you, sir?
It's good to be here.
And I have the incumbent chairman of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, NUJ, Latif Agbola. How are you?
It's my pleasure being here. Newsroom is my own.
Thank you. God bless you.
I'm comfortable being here anytime, anything.
God bless you. Let me start from the chairman of the chairman. Yes, when we describe Yoruba people in governance, that is before the colonial masters, how was it?
Okay, thank you very much. It's another wonderful opportunity to be on the show this afternoon. And we would like to express our heartfelt condolences to the people of Ijesha land over the demise of the traditional ruler of that town, Oba Dr. Gabriel Adeleke Aromolana II, Obokun Ademola of Ijesha land. As a matter of fact, Baba was the paramount ruler of Ijesha land. Yeah, going back to your question, traditional rulers as it affects Yoruba race. What we call government, if you want to translate that in Yoruba, you say Ijoba. Ajo Awon Oba is what they call Ijoba. You know, the traditional rulers were actually holding sway before the colonial masters came to force their style of governance on us. So the traditional rulers were the ones, you know, actually presiding over their various communities. Apart from that, they are the next to the gods. aláṣẹ èkejì òrìṣà. You understand? The traditional rulers in those days were very powerful. And when you are talking about these traditional rulers, what comes to mind quickly when you talk about the Alaafin, the paramount ruler of the Oyo kingdom? You could, see how powerful an Alaafin used to be. You understand? But the coming of the colonial masters have actually whittled down the powers of our traditional rulers, whereby nowadays it is the government that will decide who becomes a traditional ruler. In the olden days, I was watching Baba Ifayemi Elebuibo, talking about how you even enthrone a king. You understand? There are so many, rites you have to perform, consultations you have to do. You understand? But civilization and coming of the colonial masters have actually eroded all that. These are some of the areas we're going to look at in the course of the program. But definitely, when you talk about traditional rulers in Yoruba setting, you know that they used to be very powerful. And whatever they, declares at that time were laws, and they were binding. Thank you.
Okay, Latif, let us look at Baba has gone. Then, can you exploit some of, when you're talking about Ijesha people, we know them with brain free. Then how can you describe, as a reporter, I hope you must have had some contact with Ijesha people, and particularly the Obas.
Thank you. As a baby reporter then, I was able to cover one or two events, even at the Baba's Palace. There was a time people from World Tourism Organization came to Osun, the UNESCO people, and they were looking at where to site the World Heritage Site before they eventually chose Osun Osogbo. So I was in Baba's Palace and for some other events as well. There was a time in the history of Yoruba land that we would look at some towns, notable towns in Yoruba land, talking of Ile-Ife, talking of Oyo, Alaafin, talking of Ibadan, talking of Ilesha, talking of Ilorin, and so on and so forth. And you will see these royal fathers that have experience when it comes to when it comes to traditional experience, when it comes to the culture and tradition of the Yoruba people. So what I'm trying to say is that a time came when we started losing them one by one. And one would now fear that when all these Baba eventually leave, what's going to happen to us? Now to Baba Arumalana, Baba was someone that can be described as a bridge between the old and the middle generation, not the new generation in per se. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the cultural tradition, for example, Baba by religion was a Christian, but traditionally Baba was someone who cherished Yoruba cultural tradition in so many ways, in celebrating the traditional festival, in accommodating polygamy, and so on. And Baba, being a businessman, people know there's a people to be business oriented. So, and apart from being a king, Baba did not stop being a big time businessman even until his death. And apart from that, you see a kind of uniqueness in dressing, in speaking, in even in relating with people. You see that Baba was unique when it comes to royalty. And the fear is that now we've lost Baba Rumalana, the Adimola of Ijesha land. We had since 2021 lost the Alaafin of Oyo. We have lost Seun of Ogbomoso. The fear is that I wouldn't know, you may be talking about the succession issue at the end of the day, but let me add this. The succession issue in the Yoruba land should be looked into, not only by the government this time around, but by all the stakeholders, so that when we don't have this Baba there anymore, you can't be there for life, agreed, but we should have something similar to them. If it is not a replica of them, we should have something that will be similar to them. That's just my submission.
Okay, thank you very much. Let us have a short, let us watch a short clip about the coronation of Dr. Gabriel Adekunle Aromalaran for 2 years ago as Owa Obokun Ademola of Ijesha land.
A town with a population of about 180,000 people, is centrally located between Osogbo, Ijebu-Jesha, Osun, and Ijeda. As traders and farmers, the Ijesha people are hard workers with much dedication to their trade, a trend that have gave them the label of Oshoma Laws because of their introduction of the hire purchase system into the Nigerian business several years ago. At least 20,000 people were gathered here to witness the presentation of the staff of office to the new Oba. Police officers who number more 200 worked very hard to control the stubborn crowd who refused to listen to any order. The atmosphere, which became very hot with little or no space for fresh air, led 1 or 2 people to collapse from suffocation. Many invited dignitaries, like the leader of the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Deputy Governor of Oyo State, Chief S.M. Afolabi, many others from Oyo State, chiefs, commissioners, legislators, and many more were present here. Just before the Oyo State Governor delivered a speech, the UPN leader, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, delivered a short and precise speech in Yoruba to congratulate the new Owa Obokun of Ijesha land. In addition, he urged the Ijesha people to join hands with the new Oba to build a virile and dynamic society. And reinforcing Chief Awolowo's opinion, appealed for unity among the Ileshas and promised that his government will provide moral and financial support for the people of Ilesha.
We must concede the fact that any house divided against itself will fall and slide irretrievably down the slippery slope that leads to the abyss of anarchy and chaos. I therefore appeal to all Ijeshas to eschew bitterness, rancor, and strife, and to work with all the energies we can muster to make this dawn of a new era one that will consolidate unity in Ijesha land and be the harbinger of economic progress, peace, and harmony. I wish to seize this opportunity to appeal to all Ijesha people to rekindle their indomitable self-help spirit for which they are well known. The Ijeshas cannot afford to be left behind in the race for progress. I share the views of those who feel that we need in Ilesha here a more befitting palace. The plan currently being hatched, which relates to the building of a modern palace for the Owa Obokun, should receive the unequivocal support of all Ijesha sons and daughters, both morally and financially. As an Ijesha chief and son, I promise to contribute my humble quota towards the building of this modern palace for the Owa Obokun as soon as the palace fund is formally launched.
After his speech, the governor presented the instrument and the staff of office to the new Oba.
I now have the great personal honor, privilege, and personal satisfaction to deliver to Owa Obokun Adimula of Ijesha land this beautiful staff of office. And our prayer is, long may he reign.
Then the new Oba Oba stood up to thank all the invited dignitaries and all the people who were present at the occasion for making this day a success.
I'm grateful to all Ijeshas, wherever they may be, for specifying the qualities and qualifications they wanted their new Owa to possess. In this wise, they gave the kingmakers some guidelines in their onerous task, and that strategy has no doubt worked wonders, having regard to the fact that fact and firm action in respect of the selection process were undertaken. It is in this regard that I'm grateful to the kingmakers who never allowed the influence of money to dazzle their eyes, but were able to listen to public opinion and selected me unanimously as the new Owa Obokun Adimula of Ijesha land.
And to the guests who came to see this event, they had this to say.
There are a lot of people here rejoicing and jubilating, showing that they are all...
Those who were alive then, you can recollect the event, very colorful. Yes, Fanwako, I want you to look at the coronation then and the ones that we are doing nowadays.
Well, you know, when that was done, civilization has crept in. You understand? So you cannot, you know, attach the civilization from what happened at that point in time. Don't forget, in the speech of the Owa Obokun Adimula, he said something very, very key. He said, he talked about this, you know, selection process, that the Afobajes, they did a thorough job based on the request of all Ijeshas at home and in the diaspora, because they wanted a certain educational, you know, status for who would occupy the position.
They're very high.
Yeah, because I could remember when we were very young, we used to listen to this Obi song, Motibaje Shashuru, Motibomo Warele, Nile Agunbleji Kao Oba. Owa Obokun Adimula, that Arumolan, you know, took over from Oba Agunlejika, who died in the year 1981. And you know, I think around September 1981, and he became the Owa Obokun around February year 1982. You understand? So the period of interregnum was so short. You know, the people of the Ijesha actually knew what they wanted, and they went for it. Don't forget that Oba Adekunle Aromolaran was the first, you know, traditional ruler to have been to have a PhD status. You know, that's a big one for the Ijesha people. And don't forget that the contribution of Oba Aromolaran, even to body of knowledge, cannot be quantified. Not only in Nigeria, but even in the entire West Africa. When we were studying economics in the secondary school level, we read about Aromolaran's books.
Even until now, it's still in
up to now. And you know, he has been a millionaire even before becoming the Owa of Ijesha. So he had the, you know, resume that the people of Ijesha wanted, and they went for it. So at that point in time, we had civilization. We did not see much about the traditional angle to its installation, but definitely the traditional angle was actually observed. But honestly speaking, from the installation, it was the government of Oyo State. You saw Chief Bola Ige there. You saw Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the leader of the ruling party in Oyo State and the Western region at that point in time. He was there, and a lot of them were there. So, civilization is what we're talking about.
And I think when we look at it, you can see that the governor and the leader of the party, they were just there, as to do the ceremonial aspect of it. It seems the real cultural rites have been done, and even they gave the kingmakers, they gave them the full autonomy to operate. Then when you compare it to what is happening now, then will you say that they are closer to each other?
Well, you see, you said they were given full autonomy. That can only be decided by those who are privy to how it went then. Cannot say it authoritatively, but it was fear then than what we are experiencing presently. In those days, even we met some of these as young as we are. Oracle always spoke whenever there is going to be a selection of the process of selecting a monarch in Yoruba land. But today, money is the oracle. In fact, the so-called kingmakers will have it in mind that before anybody can emerge as the king, I must have completed my ongoing project, or I must have got a new car. So that means opportunity. Yes, that means oracle is no more allowed to do that. But be that as it may, even apart from oracle, because one thing is this, because it is God who created everybody, and let me tell you, there might have been different people created when Baba, the late Arumala, was created, who were also qualified to become the king. But the Bible will say, if I any can't do any color, maybe his own oracle was fuller than others. That's why he was picked. Where I'm going is that, but nowadays we must try as much as possible to ensure that those who were really royal in birth, royal in character, royal in relationship, and some other things are allowed to mount the royal stool. That's exactly where I'm going. If in those years you said, if not 100%, we can talk about 80, 85, 90% of the people in that axis of Yoruba land, just a land, were in support of having Letaru Malaran as the Owabukom Vijayasa land. But nowadays, you will see a situation whereby 2-3 people will be laying claim to the stool of monarch of a town. In one town, when you have factions, this is our own king, this is our own king in a town. When it is not modern politics. So, as I said earlier on in my explanation, people who are concerned, the stakeholders, must come together. Those who understand the history of Yoruba, one of them is a Professor Oyeweso. Those who understand the history, those who are rich in culture and tradition, talking about a label band, some others, should come together to rescue Yoruba. Because my fear is this: we pray that all these Obas, the old generation Obas, we pray that they live long. But when they eventually leave, we want somebody that will look like them, from the people that will look like them, if not exactly like them. For example, look at the way Oni of Ife is doing in Ile-Ife. You won't believe that Baba became Oba at a tender age, because he is behaving like those Obas of the olden days, and that is what we are talking about. Let the stakeholders in Yoruba land come together. Forget about political party, forget about religion, thinking about the future of Yoruba land. Look at how they do in the northern part of the country. They don't play with their traditional ruler, even from Kwara here, up north. That's what I'm trying to say, that stakeholders should come together and to ensure that the process of selecting a new Oba is followed to the letter according to the tradition of Yoruba, not according to the dictate of political leader or a money bag.
Yeah, so if I want to pick a quote from what Clam has just said, it would have been nice if the stakeholders can come together and start a new way forward for our traditional institution in Yoruba land and in every part of the country. But unfortunately, the system that we operate now would not allow it. Even in the northern part that he was talking about. See the way Sanusi Lamido was removed. See the way the former emir was removed again for Lamido. You understand? You see, even now, you see the traditional rulers begging for roles to play
in government.
You understand? Because they have been relegated.
There are two things.
Terribly.
One thing is the government giving them role. Another thing is the subject love them. The subject loving them is my argument. If you are there and you are Ilufemi Loye, no matter the persecution, no matter the intervention of any government, whether being it president or governor, your people will still be with you. That's what I'm talking about.
Let me, even on that, you understand? Oba Adekunle Aromolano, you agree with me, was a very, very controversial traditional ruler. Remember what happened over the issue of Ijesha North, Ijesha South Traditional Council. You know what happened then? You know, the subjects were involved. Even the traditional rulers under Ijesha Traditional Council, whether, you know, they had to actually split that traditional council.
But that doesn't change the fact that there's a land.
No, you don't get it. You don't get it. Because it even had the intervention of the government then. You know, because the military there. You understand? So what I'm saying in essence, we would have loved our traditional rulers to be able to perform their, you know, traditional functions. When you talk about traditional functions, they are the closest to the people.
That's what
they know the problems of their people. They know what their people need. They know what they don't need. But the government will just come from nowhere and say, okay, this is what we are doing. And they won't have the power to say, no, this is what my people need. See the way, okay, during the time of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Olateru Alagbagbe was removed. What happened? Would you want to tell me that the people did not like the man? But because of politics. You understand? These are some of the things we are saying, that when civilization came, the powers of our traditional rulers were eroded.
Another angle to what instances you've given is that as a father, as a royal father, the word father should always be reflected in the activities too. When you call yourself a monarch, an oba of a particular community, and you know that there are Christians, there are Muslims, there are party A, there are party B, there are party C. You are father of all. The moment you let the people know that you belong to one of them, then you've lost that respect, you've lost that love.
That is one angle. Another angle, even the government in power, if they see any traditional rulers trying to be upright, trying to maintain a balance, you know, the issue nowadays is that is either you are for us or you are against us. So, and the traditional rulers too will want to protect their...
And be relevant.
So they will have to do what the government in power wants them to do. These are some of the areas. If we leave the traditional, you know, rulers to perform their... They should have... They are the closest to the people, just like I said. And when the government in power, because the government has the power, it is the government. Look at the way Chibola Ege presented the staff of... If Oba Aromolaro had misbehaved, they will remove him and nothing will happen. And the people will only protest.
Yes.
But the people will only protest, no matter the kind of love they have for their traditional ruler. If the government takes a decision, look at when the former emir of Kaduna, Kano was removed, there were protests, but the government still had its way. This is what we're saying.
But now there is no peace. But let me add, we need an Oba that will be Atobatele in the first place. Another one is that we need an Oba that will be Ilufemi Loye. The moment you have an Atobatele and Ilufemi Loye, a government that wants to take a decision will think twice. You know that this Oba will not come for anything. He is already a big man.
Unfortunately, you cannot always have an Otabatele. That's a traditional. You know what? There was a time we interviewed Baba Ifayemi Eleboibo. He said if you look at it traditionally, those who usually become traditional rulers are people with no status.
With no substance.
Let me shock you. How did the current Orogun Fila emerge?
A teacher.
He was a teacher. where he was, they went to pick him. He was only having fun with some of his friends. I said, you are the next
People living in Osun,
Oracle of Villa.
at Arutabo there.
Baba, if I may elaborate, I said, when you oracles don't go for the well-to-dos.
But if
He said so.
if it is truly that it is
It
oracle,
was on record. He said
if
it.
it is truly that it's an oracle,
Yes.
and the Oba maintains its uprightness,
That's
I
another
don't believe any government can just come and do anything.
But
No,
the
it's-
fact still
it's-
remains that the government govern over everything.
This is what we are saying.
And when you look at it, the father we call them, the father of all we call them, they are ceremonial fathers because this type of office is given to them. They are being enthroned by the government. Therefore, they can
Imagine you have a function. You have a function now, and the governor is coming of a state. The traditionals will have to sit down there,
Now the issue is if you
even for hours before coming.
that's what I said. The other
governor
day.
will be their boss.
Of course.
Is it compulsory?
Imagine the former governor of Kano State, Abba Rimi, the late Rimi.
Yeah.
He said they asked him a question about the emir of Kano. He said, it's just one of my appointees or thereabout. That I can remove and
Within that 4 years.
yeah, he said so.
That's why we are not getting it right.
That is it. We are saying the same thing.
we need to go back.
We are saying
We need to
that
go
we
back.
really need to give these people their statutory functions. We cannot them to perform. This is what we are saying.
Coming together. You see, in a situation whereby an Oba will have to go and sitting down waiting for political office holders.
Yes,
It's
you
an
know I
insult.
said something.
It's an insult.
Civilization
Must they
came.
go there?
I said
Must they attend the
they
event?
must. They don't have a choice. They just
He's their
must.
boss.
Your boss is having an event and you say you will not be there.
Regarding
What I'm
position,
saying in essence is that it's not the
I've
traditional
experienced- let me explain. A situation
The others
whereby
are under the council.
Of
Under the
course.
council of the government.
Of
Yes.
course, that is what I'm saying.
when we're talking about
They pay them salary.
authority, when I'm talking about authority, there is what you call charismatic authority. When your people love you, forget about it. I've experienced whereby a military government came to Ikirun, and the first and foremost went to the palace of Ikirun, late Baba Lawani Oyedola Adeyemi, before he went to where he came to commission. Though Baba later joined, but he first went to the palace. What
you are saying, Clam, it's just normal. I am visiting a community as the governor of a state. Yes, the first place to go. If you are visiting my community in Igbajo, the governor will definitely say, okay, let me pay homage to the Owa of Igbajo. You don't get it. It's normal. It's out of courtesy. You understand? It's just out of courtesy. That let me first pay homage to the traditional. But as our constitution stands today, there's no way you can have a traditional ruler operating in isolation. It's not possible.
That's not the argument.
No, your argument is understandable. No matter how the traditional ruler is loved by his people,
Or rich.
or anything,
influential,
he's still under the authority of the governor.
But the question
Of
is,
the government.
let me say this.
Because I said from the word go that when civilization came in,
Even at
our colonial masters, since they came, see the way they treated even our traditional rulers when they were here. You know the story of Ovora when Oba is. You know the story of Oba Openi. You know the story of many traditional.
They didn't want to bow down.
Of course, because that was what this civilization has brought to us. And honestly speaking, I interviewed the Alara of Aramakwekiti not quite long, and I asked him, let's look at the way traditional rulers have been installed in the olden days. Now, he said civilization has taken over, and there's nothing the traditional rulers can do about it. He told me that, for instance, you have a traditional ruler who is not educated, who cannot communicate, and they will go for traditional council meeting. If you cannot contribute, if you cannot fight for your community, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. So what that implies is that You know, civilization has eroded so many things, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Unfortunately, this civilization we are talking about, that destroyed our own culture, is being protected up in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
Unfortunately. And you know, this is what these people do. They will bring something to you to imbibe, but they are not forgetting their own.
Because we allowed it, and we are still allowing it.
But this
unfortunately, calling on stakeholders,
rulers are helpless.
At times they contribute to their own downfall too.
How?
Because in most cases, you see them, the Yoruba people will say, if you are seen traditional ruler sitting at the ante room of a council chairman waiting for him to be called. Because he needs something.
Of course, it's not about what he needs alone. He may be there because of his people too.
We cannot blame them.
He has chiefs, he has councillors in the town that can go and do that one on his behalf.
But when we are not getting results, we are using the traditional.
If it is somebody that people love, if it is somebody that is Atobatele, that person in a position of authority, whether president, whether governor, whether chairman, will still come back and campaign for second time or something.
Okay, but let me put this to you. Even that Atobatele, that person that is loved by his people, okay, wants to become the traditional ruler of a particular town. As of today, what kind of process will he have to pass through? The process will have to be through the local government. Selection process, you know it. Everything backed by law. You understand?
I'm not arguing about
you will have to subject yourself to all those.
I'm not arguing about that.
You know, it is not the design of this traditional
the argument is,
it is the law.
The argument is this.
Because if you fail to do it, someone will wake up sometime and say, okay, you did not follow due process. We are going to court.
Who elect or select king? Is it not the kingmakers?
The kingmaker.
But the question is, the moment the monarch becomes the monarch, is it not above the kingmakers? We, in most cases...
It is all, you see the decision of these kingmakers will have to be communicated to somewhere.
What I'm saying is this.
To where? Subject to the approval.
Exactly. Of the moment
Mr. Governor.
The moment
or disapproval.
The moment it is approved,
yes,
he has become the king of that particular community. And I said something without so.
And will it not go against the
constituted authority?
No, not going against. If I said they contributed, you didn't listen to my argument.
Okay.
Yeah. I said all this constitutional issue is working against them, no doubt. But they too contribute, consciously or unconsciously. At times you will see even a king that will be telling those in position of authority politically that Oba was sitting.
And that's, you know, I've said this.
For another to say a particular Oba is not with the government.
Because
it is from their own
situation. Because you see, what we are saying, I understand you perfectly. But what we are saying is that most of the time, these traditional rulers are just helpless because of the kind of the system we are running. That's what I'm saying.
But we are the system.
Okay, I want you to delve.
We are not. Don't let us deceive ourselves. We are not the system.
Who is the system?
We are not.
No, who is the system?
You know we are not.
You don't answer my question. I agree. Who is the system?
Even in the system, what change can you effect now?
Oh, you don't answer my question.
The government woke up. They woke up in the morning and say, okay, petrol is selling for 1,000 naira. What can we change? We are protested. We have done all sorts of things.
Is that president or governor not from a particular community where there is a monarch?
So who would now call him to order now? That's what who has called him to order? Nobody can even talk to him.
Oba Adeleke has gone.
Fine.
Then when you look at the scenario in Osun and some part of Yoruba land, there are some disputes in this act of who is going to become the next monarch. Then what's your appeal to all the stakeholders, starting from the government to the kingmakers and to the people in the town?
Going by history, going by history, you know, we talked about Oba Agunlejika, who died in the year 1981, September of thereabout. And Oba Aromolaron, you know, stepped in. Almost immediately. the interregnum period was not more than a few months. You understand? Because going through that report, they said the Ijesha people knew what they wanted and they went for it. You understand? So, this time around, a lot is happening, no doubt about it. Imagine the demise of Baba Alafion for you. Up till now, the issue is still there. You understand? That of Shawon of Obomotion has been resolved, but with, you know, some pockets of crisis here and there. You understand? But the truth of the matter is that I don't know much about the traditional arrangement in Ijesha land, but definitely I know some people would have been warming up, you know, to step into the shoes left behind by Oba Malana. But what I would just appeal for is that the people should just play the game according to the rules and ensure that they don't, you know, go through unnecessary crisis in enthroning new king for Ijesha, because all we want is peace, and we want someone that will even do better than what Baba Arumalaran has done.
Natif, Oba has gone. Then the process or intervention of the government into this one. What is your advice to them?
There is no way government will not intervene. Okay. Considering the constitutional
you cannot do anything outside the government.
But the issue is that the government should only intervene where the constitution says it should intervene. Look at the Ibadan experience. That's why I talked about the system at that time. If not for the insistence of some forces within the Ibadan,
they would have disorganized it.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. This system we are talking about, people are the system. The governor, the president, the ambassador, the council chairman, you see as powerful in the daylight, will go to process somewhere in the evening.
And unfortunately, look at what happened to, you know, Chief Oluladoja stood. He said this will not happen. But what happened at the end of the day?
You see?
He has been given a crown to
that's another issue. That's another issue. What I'm trying to say is that,
you know what the man was fighting? You know, there is no crisis in who becomes the next Olubadan. And that's what they've been operating. You know what the past governments have been trying to do is that, okay, we don't want a situation whereby it's always an old man that will become the Olubadan of Ibadan. That's what they're trying to.
Because they want to change the
But when you do that, it will affect a lot of things. And that's why some people stood and said, look, this will not change.
That is how if they...
Ibadan has been peaceful from time immemorial. And whether you like it or not, it is the seat of power.
That means you have agreed to my position now.
No.
No matter how powerful a governor or a president, if the majority of the people insist that this is what we want in our community.
Ibadan as a case study.
No, at all.
We can take it as a case study. They have their ways.
Their way is very
ways of emergence. But there was a time some people attempted to change it. And
let's be frank with ourselves. It was a constituted authority.
It even happened during the admission of this.
Wait. They condemned. No. They condemned constituted authority for trying to disrupt the traditional.
Is it not the same so to say? Yes. The same thing that this GSM
this is what I said. If you condemn someone for doing something that was wrong, you know, this is what we talked about. You know, because then he was planning to become the governor. So they were doing everything.
You
understand? This is what I'm saying. Now he got there. They said, okay, what they criticized Ajibobi for, they are doing it now. To the extent that they had to force Ladoja to receive his own crown now. You understand? Because if you want to be the next Olubadan, you must receive your crown. This is what we are saying. They are breaking it gradually. And if care is not taken, there will be crisis in the nearest future.
And that is why I said the other time, and as you requested.
Because if Ladoja has refused, he may not likely become the next Olubadan.
Yoruba people will say, I said stakeholders should come together. they should forget about their differences. We are discrediting the royal stool in the Yoruba land, honestly. It is not limited to any town or any community. In fact, you see some people are in position of Oba today, and you shake your head in shame for Yoruba land, because they don't even understand what royalty means. They don't know anything about the culture. You see a situation whereby even a king doesn't understand the sound of a talking drum. A king will, when you go to a king and you are asking about the history of the town, he said, Joko, it shouldn't be that. In the olden days, we learned that even if the fact that you are a prince, naturally you may become a king. There are processes of upbringing for any prince in the palace. They have the way they should go through some training, some processes that eventually if they become the king, they must have had that royalty in them, the etiquette in them. That's what we are preaching now. We still have old people around us. We have those who understand our history around. They should come together now before it's too late to rescue us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. On behalf of the executive producer, Moturayo Ayegbayo, and the producer, Oluwatoyin Yusuf, Baba to the final call, thank you very much for being my guest.
It's always
and
my pleasure.
Agboda, thank you very much. I'm yours. Till next week. Bye for now.
Personal satisfaction to deliver